Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. This devotion has been pre-recorded so that I could take a little bit of time off and at the same time provide you with a daily devotion. So today we're going to look at First Corinthians chapter 8. And yeah, we're getting to an interesting subject, one that is not very common today. So I'll try to explain a little bit what's going on here and how we can apply that to ourselves. So Paul is going to now enter into a conversation about what it means to eat food that has been sacrificed to the gods, the pagan gods, or the idols, he would say, of other gods and other religions. And so here he talks about, he just flat out kind of goes, now, we all know. So, the Christian church, we all know that there is only one God. We all know and possess that, that God is the only God. There's no one but Him. And so when we know that, nothing harms us. Our bodies are meant for digestion. You're fine. Like it's no big deal because there's only one God. When you eat that food, you're not worshiping a different God. And so he's like, all's cool. It's not hurting your relationship with God. But he then talks about how there are people who are still considered weak Christians. And so it's not that they don't believe in God, but they're not sure if potentially these other gods are out there. And so what they would think if they saw you eating this food, they would think, oh, you're worshiping that God and the real God. Maybe I can do that too, and kind of walk this line of I'm a little this and I'm a little that, covering my bases, so to speak, which would then cause them to sin because they're not fully 100%, following God. And so he says that we need to be aware of the weak-minded Christians that are among us and what their stumbling blocks are, because then we are just as guilty of causing someone to stumble when when maybe it's not a stumbling block for us, it is for them. Now, I think this is one we have to really take into consideration because we need to not harm people's consciences. Well, goodness, forget it. But but be aware of our own knowledge. And so what he's talking here is that this is a very public event that would happen where this idol worshiping would be happening. And so people would clearly like know who's what's going on and where they are in that. And so the person would really need to be able to have some conversation to help maybe mentor this person, or as Paul says, just don't do it. It does say, I will never eat meat so that I may not cause one of them to fall. But we need to put that in context. This is not actually promoting vegetarianism, actually. It's just saying I'm not going to eat meat that has been sacrificed to the pagan gods. So, but it's just saying that, but it would be better to just like if you're not sure where this came from and you know that this person right here next to you is going to just lose their faith or start to sin themselves because they don't know, then you need to just say, hey, I'm not going to do it. Now, this takes a lot of relationship building. This is not about us being able to read people's minds. This is not about us, if we had to stop everything. I mean, honestly, in today's world, everything offends somebody. Everything does. So we can't like just stretch this out of context. But when you are aware, like say for instance you're at a church gathering and you're aware that somebody in there deals with alcoholism, or they've had alcoholism in their family, and so they're just really they struggle with people who drink. And I know that if they don't struggle with it, then that's fine, but that takes a conversation. But say they really do, it bothers them to see people drinking, it's hard for them. Then the thing to do would be to join them with a glass of tea or water, and maybe others are drinking. That's fine. They're not, you're aware of it. So then you take the steps to help them not struggle so much. You become their encourager, their supporter. Does that mean you never drink? No. But when you are with this person and you are aware of their struggles, you don't encourage it. You stay with them, you side with them, because they're also in their Christian journey with you. So you see there's a lot of boundaries to this. There's the boundary of that you are in community of faith together. You are definitely in a relationship that you are able to share with one another. And so like, yeah, if you go out with a friend who really struggles with people who eat meat, then you become vegetarian for that meal. It's one meal. And you show that you respect them because it's a stumbling block for them. It may not be for you. So, but don't rub it in their face. You go along with it. And a strong Christian can make those compromises. A strong Christian won't say, well, I eat meat, so I'm going to eat it, and, whatever you think. No. A strong Christian goes, well, let me sit here with you. Let me enjoy a meal with you the way you want to. Because of that. So it really is a nuanced conversation, and it's a nuanced way of living, of being aware and relationship and conversation. Oh, it's healthy. It's very healthy. And of course, a strong Christian would never hold anything like that. The weak Christian would never know that they were considered weak. Let's put it out there too. A weak Christian will never know that they're weak because they will be constantly supported and encouraged by their faith community. They would never know that they were weak. And so it's not something that gets pointed out or pushed on that. There is just kindness and support. And the hope is that their faith would grow deep enough through the grace of God that over time they would say, you know what? I'm not so worried that I'm sinning when I do this. I'm not so worried that I'm being mean. They would grow in their own time, but because they were supported, and they would become strong like you without them even knowing it. And then before you know it, you would have a transformed person sitting there right with you. And so we have to be careful that these scriptures and verses are not taken so far out of context that they hinder this healthy communication and this leveling, of like, I'm better than you. But how do we come together and really be of the same mind of Christ, and how we treat each other and support and encourage each other? So I invite you to consider, how can you be supportive and encouraging of all your Christian friends and even your non-Christian friends, so that they can see the love of Christ in you and through you in all situations. Thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda, with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion, and I'll be with you next week live. I'll be back from vacation, and so I'll see you then. Take care.